Now, second protocol is the bedding protocol, and it's useful to keep things in a proper order. For instance, if you don't regulate the cheek blocks in a shimmed cheek block situation, or actually check them in one that is adjusting, if there's excessive pressure or not enough pressure on the keyframe pins, it's going to give you misinformation. When you come out to the bench, there's going to be an embedded mistake. So it's important to do that in order. So what we did, we removed the action and the return spring, cleaned the key bed, tightened the screws, which were already tight. The hammer shanks were off their rail. We returned the action and regulated the cheek blocks. They were already well regulated. We secured the cheek blocks and we bed the balance rail with the use of the W&G bedding tool, and we bedded it to the pedal being fully depressed. Then we checked the back rail. We tapped with a long screwdriver on the back rail cloth, and we tapped on the front rail with our fingers, and we found out that those rails were in fact still well bedded, having bedded the balance rail, and so we're good to go. We're ready to go regulate. If we were not good to go, there is a protocol that takes you through the steps to bed the back rail, bed the front rail. You bed the top stack to the keyframe, and so forth. And it gives you a list. Turns out this is 42 steps in which you can make sure that you didn't miss anything. Then the Keystep protocol, which is a guide to the sampling process that will take you successfully out to the bench. Bed the keyframe is step one. So there's some overlap here, but basically it keeps you in line with what you need to do. Choose where the samples are going to be. The leveling, pre-leveling leveling samples. And even if you're not leveling the keys, still elevating the end keys if a straight edge would touch any keys in between. You choose a mid-range natural, which is a step we're about to do, to make sure the overall front rail isn't sagged or bowed relative to the way it was in the piano. Then you choose strike samples. You remove all front rail punchings, and you secure the cheek blocks, and you actually turn up the cap screws in the key steps to just touch the underside of the keys, creating your bedding samples. And you put your straight edge on and turn up that key in the middle for that validation step. And then you take your strike samples with the W&G dip tool's weight on the end of the key. Anyway, there it is in the piano through step 10. Now you're going to have steps setting it up on either your bench or a regulation station deluxe, and it takes you through those steps. So fix the action position on the bench. We've done that. So we tick it off. Set bedding bedding to the samples. We did that. We checked that off. Set templates to strike using the kissing samples. We did that. Record the strike heights. We have not done that, so we have to show that. And then we return punchings to the pins and so forth. And it just takes you step by step through it. In this case, it's 19 steps. On the back side, there's an example of choosing your samples and a guide to key to what the various symbols mean. Now the fourth protocol is an alignment protocol, and it discusses on the first page entirely the principles behind why we do what we do, and what our target is and how we aim to achieve it. And then that makes sense of the various things that we do for the key bed, keyframe, and keys, the action frame, hammer shanks and hammers, the whippings and back checks, way off and touch up, strings, hammers, and dampers, pedals, trapwork, and case parts. And there are sort of key points for each that are important to a simplest result, is what we're after. The laminated protocols.